Hey everybody, it's Tag from Life Done Free. Hey, I've gotten a lot of comments through all my videos that asked questions about actually how to live free, and so I've decided I'm going to create a new series of videos that discusses this exact point on how to live free. In order to do that, I've got to clear up some misconceptions and some terminology. But so today I present the illusion of equity. Before I get into it, I need to tell you that I'm not a professional. You need to seek your own professional advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, the illusion of equity. Today, I present the equity illusion. So, what is equity? Well, according to Investopedia, home equity is the value of a homeowner's interest in their home. In other words, it's the actual property's current market value less the liens that are attached to the property. So basically, equity is the market value, whatever your home is worth, minus the loan payoff. But you see, equity does not equal profit. And this is why it's an illusion. So today I present the Jones family and the Snuffy family, the two families who just purchased their very first home. The Jones family will follow the national average throughout the next 39 years. The Snuffies will take a different path. Here are the assumptions made during the presentation. All of these assumptions are the national average over time, and they do not reflect the current housing market. So the first thing is the assumptions. We're going to figure 4% interest on all loans. We're going to figure an appreciation rate of 3.6%, which is the national average. Appreciation is the amount of value your home gains over time. The national average for property taxes currently sits at 1.1%. The average family will stay in their home 13 years, and the average family will buy 3 homes in their lifetime. I want to point out that there's other costs like insurance and repairs and even inflation that have been intentionally left out in order to keep this simple. So your home is the biggest investment you'll ever make? Investment? So the average American, as I mentioned before, stays in their home for 13 years. Here's a look at their amortization table for each family. The only difference at this point is that the Snuffies elected a 15-year mortgage and the Jones family chose a 30. So if you look here, the Jones, right? And they took out a 30-year mortgage. So let's see what they got. As I mentioned, I'm only doing 13 years because the national average is we're going to stay in our house 13 years. So the interest paid over those 13 years is $96,000. Okay, and the principal, which is this column, is $63,000, and they have an ending balance of $151. Now again, Linda and Joe Snuffy did it a little bit different in that they took out a 15-year mortgage. But if you look at the numbers, in the end, they paid $69,000 in interest and $178,000 in their principal. So people often say that the biggest investment you'll ever make in your life is your home. Is it really an investment? Well, for some it is. But let's look at how each family fared 13 years into our 39-year investigation. So the Jones family, as we mentioned before, paid $215,000. If you look at the 3.6 appreciation rate, so their house is gaining 3.6% every year. Their house is now worth $315,000. If they pay their loan payoff after 13 years was $151,000, which most people would say right here, this is equity. And although it is equity, people confuse this with profit, and it is not profit because if you take into account the interest and principal they paid after 13 years of $160,000, now we're down to $3,700, but wait, there's more, because they also paid taxes over 13 years, which was $35,000. So the Jones, at the end of their 13 years in this house, have profited minus $32,000. So the Snuffies, let's look and see how they did. Snuffy family, same exact purchase price, same exact value of the home, except their payoff is less. It's $36,000 because they took out a 15-year note instead of a 30-year note, which again, here's this illusion number right here, which says the difference, equity, is $278,000. But it's not profit because when you figure in the interest and the principal that they paid over 13 years of $248,000, leaves about $30,000. And then when you take into account the taxes that they paid of $35,000, at the end of their 13 years, their investment has yielded them a minus $4,883. Now, but staying true to the American dream, one of our families is about to buy a new home. So after living in their house for 13 years, Bill and Susie Jones are ready for their forever home. They find a bigger home in a better neighborhood, and it's time to pack up and move. Probably time to upgrade your appliances too, isn't it? So their new home purchase is $365,000. Joe and Linda Snuffy feel great that their home is almost paid for, and they can focus on the last couple years and be mortgage free. So looking back at the tables, don't forget that Bill and Susie Jones took out a new 30-year mortgage on a new home that was $365,000, and they put $50,000 as their down payment. So again, I'm going to use 13 years because the average family stays in a home 13 years. They paid $141,000 in interest and $92,000 in principal through that 13 years. If you look at the Snuffies, if you remember, they originally had a 15-year mortgage. So they paid off the final 2 years, which was $1,500 in interest and $36,000 in principal. But it's also, just as a side note, important to say, they also saved $1,590 per month for the 11 years that they didn't have a mortgage, which is a gain of $209,000. So we are now 26 years into our investigation. So let's see how the families did. So here's the Jones again. Okay, and they have a new house, as we mentioned, that they paid $365,000 for. Okay, now if you look at the 3.6 appreciation, that house is now worth $462,000. Their loan payoff is $222,000. So again, here's the false profit. This is their equity, $239,666. But it's not profit, because if you take the interest and principal they paid over those 13 years of $234,000, leaves $5,000. You take into the taxes they paid over those 13 years, which was $57,000. They're now at a negative $52,000. But don't forget, they put $50,000 down. So at the end of 26 years and 2 houses, their investment has yielded them $102,163 negative. The Snuffies fared a little better. So again, their purchase price was the original purchase price, but now after 26 years, with the 3.6% appreciation rate, their home is now worth $416,000. They have no payoff, so their equity is $416,000, but it is not their profit. When you take out the interest and principal they paid after 26 years, and you take out the taxes they paid over 26 years, they actually do have positive equity of $96,639. So, to summary, the Jones, 13 years are up in their current home, and again, it's time to find their next house. But before we do that, let's summarize how we did. So the Jones had a negative number on the first house, a negative number on the second house, so their total investment so far has yielded them a negative $134,142, again after 26 years. The Snuffies family netted them minus $5,000 the first 13 years, and they're up $96,000 on the second 13 years. So here we go again. After living in their house for 13 years, Bill and Susie Jones are ready for their forever home. They find a bigger home in a better neighborhood. Time to pack up and move, they say. It's probably time to even upgrade the appliances. Their new purchase price of their home is $565,000. Oh, Joe and Linda Snuffy, they're just happy their house is paid for. So let's look at the tables. So again, the Jones family purchased their third home. Their purchase price was $565,000, and they're going to put $50,000 down, making the amount financed $515,000. They're going to pay $232,000 in interest and $151,000 against their principal. And again, here's the Snuffies, just managing their debt. So we're now 39 years into our investigation. Let's take a look at how each family did in this third set. So again, purchase price, they bought a new home for $565,000. You take the appreciation at 3.6% is $780,000. Their loan payoff is $363,000, so their equity is $416,000. But again, it is not profit, because if you take the interest and principal they paid over the 13 years of $383,000, it leaves $32,000. You take the taxes over 13 years is $92,000, which leaves them a minus $60,000 number. But again, they put money down of $50,000. So at their third home, their investments yielded them a minus $110,000. The Snuffies are still in their current home, right? Their purchase price was $215,000. Their home equity, or the value of their home with the 3.6% is $516,000. They had no loan payoff. So is their equity $516,000? No, because if you take the interest and principal they paid, and I'm sorry you guys can't see that, but it's $248,091, which leaves $268,000. The taxes they paid over 39 years is $107,000, so their equity is $161,000, or their profit. So let's review the illusion of equity. So first let's start with the Jones family. Okay, so here's their costs, the money they actually spent in the first house. Okay, interest, principal, taxes. Here's the money they actually spent in their second house. Interest, principal, taxes, plus their down payment. Here's the money they spent in their third home. Interest, principal, taxes, down payment. So their total amount invested over 39 years is $1,064,185. Their current home's value after this is $780,000. Their payoff at this time was $363,000, so their equity is $416,000. So let's summarize this. The Jones family invested $1,064,000 for a return of $416,000, which is an investment gain of negative 61%. Let's look at the Snuffy family. So they paid $71,000 total in interest while they had their home. They paid $215,000 for the home. Their first year they paid their taxes. The second year they paid their taxes. The third year they paid their taxes. So the total amount of money they've invested is $393,000. Their home value at year 39 was $516,000. So the Snuffy family invested $393,000 for a return of $516,000, which is a net investment gain of 24%. So just to summarize, equity is nothing more than the current market value minus the loan payoff. It is not profit. Once a home is paid for, the profit made is really no more than the difference between the appreciation rate, 3.6% average, and the property tax rate, 1.1% average. Keep in mind, the housing market is very volatile. Some locations grow faster than the 3.6%, and some grow slower. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight that equity is not profit. Final advice, don't be a Jones, be a Snuffy. Well, I've hoped that you've enjoyed the illusion of equity. Again, I've had many comments and many private messages asking the how to live free. And as you can see, trying to keep up with the Jones is not a very profitable road. You know, as Danny has said many times from, deep south, that living free requires good financial decisions. And so I challenge you to go live freer today than you did yesterday. Make good decisions every single day. I'll keep, trying to pump out content and, trying to help you live a little bit freer. So until we do it again, I'm Tag. This is Life Done Free. And hold the line. Don't give an inch.